Bro, you've been doing everything wrong. You think showing her how much you need her is love. You think proving your devotion makes her feel secure. You think being emotionally available 24/7 is what she wants. But here's the brutal truth that's about to shatter everything you believed about attraction. The moment you stop needing her is the moment she'll break down and cry for you. Not because you're cruel, not because you're playing games, but because you just triggered the deepest psychological force in human attraction. And most men never understand this until it's too late. Listen to me carefully. When you act like you don't need her, you're not being cold. You're being a man who knows his worth. There's a difference between emotional unavailability and emotional independence. One destroys relationships, the other creates obsession. Think about it like this. Every woman has been with that guy who needed her like oxygen, who texted her every hour, who couldn't make a decision without her input, who made her the center of his entire universe. And she got bored, not because she doesn't want to be loved, but because she lost respect for a man who didn't respect himself enough to have his own life. Here's what happens in her mind when you act like you don't need her. First, her brain starts questioning everything. Wait, why isn't he chasing me? Why isn't he desperate for my attention? Does he have other options? This isn't manipulation, bro. This is psychology. Women are wired to be attracted to men who have choices, men who have options, men who could walk away but choose to stay, not men who stay because they have nowhere else to go. When you act like you don't need her, you're communicating something powerful, that your happiness doesn't depend on her approval, that your identity isn't wrapped up in being her boyfriend, that you're with her because you want to be, not because you're afraid to be alone. And that terrifies her, in the best possible way, because she realizes she might actually lose you. Let me tell you what this looks like in real life. You stop double texting when she doesn't respond immediately. You make plans with your friends instead of being available every Friday night. You focus on your goals, your career, your passions with the same intensity you used to focus on her. You become emotionally self-sufficient. And she notices. Oh, she notices everything. The way you're not asking for constant reassurance anymore. The way you're not seeking her validation for every decision. The way you seem complete, without her input. And it drives her crazy. Here's the psychological trigger most men never understand. Women don't want to be your only source of happiness. They want to be an addition to your already fulfilling life. When you act needy, you're essentially telling her she's responsible for your emotional well-being. That's not romantic, that's a burden. But when you act like you don't need her, you're telling her she's a choice, not a necessity. And choice is what creates desire. Think about every time she pulled away from you in the past. What were you doing? Probably chasing harder, texting more, trying to prove your love, showing her how much you needed her in your life, and she pulled away further. Because the more you needed her, the less she respected you. And without respect, there's no attraction. But here's what happens when you flip the script. When you start acting like you don't need her, she starts acting like she needs you. She starts initiating conversations. She starts making an effort to see you. She starts proving her value to you instead of you proving your value to her. And eventually, she breaks down. She cries. Not because you're hurting her, but because she realizes she might lose the one man who doesn't need her validation to feel whole. This is when you know you've triggered something deep in her psychology. The fear of losing something valuable. The realization that you're not going to beg for her attention. The understanding that you have standards and boundaries. And she either meets them or she doesn't get access to you. But here's the crucial part, bro. Acting like you don't need her doesn't mean becoming cold or distant. It means becoming grounded in your own worth. It means having a life so fulfilling that she becomes an enhancement, not a requirement. It means being emotionally stable, whether she's having a good day or a bad day. It means not losing your center when she's upset or distant. This is what masculine energy looks like. Not needing external validation to feel secure in who you are. Not requiring constant reassurance that you're loved. Not making your happiness dependent on someone else's mood. When you embody this energy, something magical happens. She stops taking you for granted. She stops testing your boundaries because she knows you have them. She stops playing games because she realizes you won't play along. She starts appreciating what she has instead of focusing on what she doesn't have. And when she realizes she might lose you, that's when the tears come. Not tears of sadness, tears of recognition. Recognition that she found a man who knows his worth. A man who doesn't need her approval to feel good about himself. A man who would walk away rather than compromise his self-respect. This is the man every woman claims she wants, but rarely gets to experience. Because most men are too afraid to embody this energy. They're too scared she'll leave if they stop chasing. They're too insecure to risk her displeasure. They're too dependent on her validation to risk losing it. But here's what they don't realize. The only way to keep her is to be willing to lose her. The only way to earn her respect is to respect yourself first. The only way to make her cry for you is to stop crying for her. When you act like you don't need her, you're not being cruel. You're being authentic. You're showing her the man she fell for in the first place. The man who had his own life, his own goals, his own identity, before you made her the center of your universe and lost yourself in the process. She doesn't want to be your everything, bro. She wants to be with a man who could be everything without her, because that's when she knows she's with someone of value, someone who chose her, not someone who needed her. And when she realizes she might lose that, that's when she fights for it. That's when she cries for it. That's when she shows you what you mean to her, not because you demanded it, but because you commanded it through your actions, through your self-respect, through your unwillingness to settle for less than you deserve. Remember this: needy men get ignored, independent men get pursued, desperate men get used, self-sufficient men get respected, men who act like they need her get taken for granted, men who act like they don't need her get treasured. You don't win love by losing yourself. You win love by being someone worth loving, someone who knows their worth, someone who doesn't need.